and realizing how much of my life has been spent performing for people off stage and not really being able to access like who I am intrinsically.
Is greater joy in those perfect moments than anything you've ever seen, while at the same time saddling you with this immense work and darkness and responsibility.
And to have to show up then every day to keep that baby alive that's suddenly in your arms with some amount of grace and joy and love. But like for a while there, I didn't recognize myself. I really couldn't find my core at all.
It's all connected to the sacrifice that you're making right now. You're being a mother, and as a therapist, there's a mothering, a nurturing that happens as you are their psychic shepherd.
I'm David Neiman, and you're listening to A Better Pill to Swallow.
She is a Broadway actress, most notably in Come From Away, that you can catch on Apple TV. She now holds her mental health counselor with limited permit and now working at Creative Mental Care in Manhattan. A long, long time coming. We'll get into the details of that. Emily Walton.
Hello.
Thank
you.
Oh my God. I can't believe this is actually happening after how many scheduled failures to launch.
And that's all me.
I feel a little bit like Mandy Patinkin at the end of Princess Bride when he turns to Wesley and he says, I've been in the revenge business so long, now that it's over, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life.
It's funny, people quote The Princess Bride all the time, but that's not one I hear too often.
Oh, it's my favorite one. And now we'll go into how you and I met, which is that you are our client and we were put together by Zillow.
That's right, we were. Thank you, Zillow. Shout out.
Thank you, Zillow. I should really send them a fruit basket.
Send them a flower, just even one flower.
One flower.
One single flower.
Yeah, that's almost ominous if they just received a flower in the mail. It's
like, guess who?
It's like, it could have been a pipe bomb, but instead we're just sending you a flower. Yeah, so we got connected and I felt like we were best friends by the end of the first meeting. Yeah. And it was very clear. It was, Louie, this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And I'm now, my mind is going in so many different directions. I keep on accidentally saying young father, decidedly not a young father. And as my sister-in-law says, the oldest father that any of us know. Young Parenthood. I know that it's nothing compared to mommy brain, which I know we're going to get into, but I still have it, being
totally.
Yeah.
Being a young dad.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. I quote The Princess Bride at the end of when a deal has just gone on forever. You and I gratefully had some issues with our deal, but it wasn't a deal that wouldn't end. There are deals that do not end, that go on, they stretch on for 8 months. And whenever that happens, my favorite little video clip to send to everybody is that, and it's a pretty big hit, because it feels like you're the end of this has consumed so much of my life for so long. Now I really don't know what it's going to look like, it not being part of it anymore.
But see, now you've proven today that you can use it in any in this context, and it still is a huge hit.
It is, I think.
It's versatile.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know that we've ever had anybody on this podcast that checks off as many different boxes. You're a Broadway actress, you're musical, you're now actually in the mental health space. I mean, this podcast was literally formed as my brainchild so you could be on it.
It's a lot of pressure. I hope this is a good episode.
I know.
It better be.
I apologize. We should just end it right now.
Yeah, it was so nice talking.
So nice. Short, but lovely.
Really short and really sweet.
So let us start with the very beginning. You come from a very musical and theatrical family. I met both of your unbelievably charming parents. It was exactly what I expected after knowing you. So it was one of those, I'll speak for myself because I come from a theater family. Yeah. It almost felt like it wasn't a choice. It just what was.
Yeah. I mean, that's That sounds about right. Like, yes. So first of all, to say my parents are extremely charming. I love them so much. Living now an hour north of them is challenging. I remember you asking, like, are you going to survive being this far away from your parents? And
But I always said that to you after meeting them. There are many
oh, that's
people that I
right.
would say, are you going to survive being this close to your parents?
No, totally. Yeah, that's right. It was after you'd met them and realized
Yeah.
how charming and wonderful they are.
Yeah.
But they're not really performing so much anymore. But yes, when I was growing up, they were both mostly musical theater performers. And it was just a given, sort of like you said. I mean, and the way I always described it is they never pushed me into show business and they never deterred me from going into it.
Well, they didn't need to. I mean, when they create an environment that's that fun and that playful,
yeah,
you're a child. That is the battle cry of being a child, is play.
yeah,
How could you not?
right.
Right? That's how I
Yeah.
felt.
No, well, so wait, were your parents performers?
They didn't take it to a level that your parents did
Yeah.
professionally. My mom is not a performer, but my dad very much was. He was the
Okay.
star of every high school play
Mhm.
and in college, but then, real world. And
Yeah.
especially, I think it was more normal back then. I'm a little older than you, to not try actually to pursue it, even if you had enjoyed it, because of the way the world worked.
Yeah.
Now everyone is going into the arts because
Right.
robots are taking over all of those factory jobs. And
Right.
I'm saying it like jokingly, but it's true. And it's also a very beautiful part of the modern era.
I mean, right, no, that's the battle cry of childhood is play. I think I definitely also my parents were sort of the first of their group of friends to have a kid. And so I was always around like my second birthday party was my parents and a bunch of adults, maybe another kid, like maybe there were a couple other kids there, but it was mostly just like these really fun actors in their 20s like playing
Wow.
with me.
And you were the only one.
Yeah, I was the only one. It was a
So
lot,
much
lot of
attention.
attention. So
You were
much.
already a star.
But I mean, literally, it was the thing of like, Emily, sing the song for them. But in my memory, it wasn't like a gross thing at all. It was just like, here's this little girl who loves to sing and dance and all this stuff. And I was definitely I see home videos now and it like really makes me cringe. Like I was
Oh my
really,
God.
I was a show off. But then it's like, where did that go? That disappeared. I guess puberty is just when it like, you get your confidence just totally.
That is fascinating. I mean,
Is it?
so for me, I was incredibly shy. This is going to come as a big shock to you. And then being born into such a theatrical family and with a brother who had a personality larger than life, the biggest personality in his entire class. And he was in my household, and my older brother that I idolized.
Yeah.
That coupled with my beautiful little sister, who was the first daughter, I was getting swallowed up in terms of not getting enough attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time I was 8 and watching and wanting that attention, I think I challenged myself to overcome that. And once I did that, I took it to an even greater level because I had learned.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
And so then I was speed train to Fucksville, like just a bat out of hell from that inflection point.
Interesting.
And so what's fascinating about you is that you didn't stop enjoying being the center of attention on stage, but it sounds like you're saying that you rescinded and you didn't need to be that way in real life.
Definitely. Well, yeah, I don't know if it's so much that I didn't need to be that way, but since adolescence, there's been a serious lack of confidence in my life. And I look back on myself as a child, maybe 11 or 12, and I see like pure confidence, unbridled.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Amanda too, my wife, was exactly like you. And then going into kindergarten and the socialization put her right into her shell and stuffed back in.
Yeah.
And became shy.
I mean, mine, I really do think it corresponds with puberty. Yeah.
Oh, totally.
I do wonder if that's a more common experience with a girl. I don't know.
This sounds astute.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, all that to say, the performing stuff, I didn't stop performing. Like even when I was going through my maybe receding back into my shell, I was performing throughout that time. But we sort of talked about before we started today, there's such a distinct difference to me between standing on a stage and like commanding attention that way and singing a song that someone else wrote or reciting lines that someone else wrote, embodying a character.
Having that safety. My brother and myself were very different, is that as we got older, and obviously it was a preamble for him of his mental illness, before his actual psychic break in 1995. But leading to that, in the very late 80s, early 90s, he was not shy, but he was very hot and cold off stage. And then he was incredibly brilliant and relieved to be on stage because he could hide into a character, and he was great with voices. And so we were very opposite in that way. I was very extroverted, quite clearly off stage. And then I was just sort of that same guy on stage as being someone who was very comfortable in front of people. And I think what you are saying is that, like, I do long form improv where there's no script. And that is a very specific type of
terrifying nightmare
comfort you have to be in front of people and create in the same moment.
I just had like a wave of nausea as you said
As I even said it. And it's challenging for me if I haven't done it in a while. But once I've been doing it's brutal.
Improv, it's brutal. I did, like, the one improv show I've ever done was just a few years ago when I was doing Come From Away. This really amazing troupe whose name I can't think of right now, unfortunately.
So amazing. You'll forget it in a second.
No. They're musical improv. So, like, they improvise a full musical at each of their shows.
Badass.
They're incredible. And they invite special guests to do these shows with them. So they invited me and two of my castmates to be a part of this show. And I was so excited because in the back of my mind for years through my 20s and stuff, I was like, maybe I should do improv. Should I do improv? Like, maybe I should do
an improv personality to me. I know that you...
What does that mean?
When we're talking, I mean, I have the proof on tape right now in the 12 minutes we've been going. You're incredibly witty. You're incredibly present. I realize that you have the Japanese game show going on in your head at all times. I know how active your brain is. And that's actually why I love you so much, because I have a very active brain too. You are able to be very present. Yeah. And that's why our banter is so juicy most of the time. And yet I know you have a lot of other irons in the fire, psychically speaking, at once.
I appreciate that. I do feel like I am present conversationally. There's spontaneity to the interactions I have with people that I can identify. And I think that that's a reason that people through the years have been like, you would be great at improv.
Your wit and humor would suggest.
But let me tell you something. I'm terrible.
I know it it's very, very interesting. This is something I've taken note of. I have so many friends. Some of my funniest people, I'm thinking right now of my Aunt Nancy and one of my best friends.
I have an Aunt Nancy.
Oh, you do?
Did you say Aunt Nancy?
I did. Is it the same Aunt Nancy?
Cousin David?
Cousin? We call her Nini, actually. My friend Mark are two of the funniest people I know. I had Mark on a podcast last year, and they have riddling stage fright. They couldn't do what you do. Forget improv. They just stand up on a stage in front of people. And yet if you met them in real life, you'd be like, these people are hilarious. I'm sure you're a huge performer. I'm like, nope.
No.
So there's something interesting about that sensitivity. I think their sensitivity leads to why they're so funny and so smart. Yeah. And yet at the same time, that sensitivity is that hyper awareness that they're in front of people.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's just the being watched thing. It's the knowing that, because even this, like, ostensibly, people will listen to this and watch this video, but like, I'm not really thinking about that right now. I'm just talking to you. Mm-hmm. But then if we were doing this on a stage in front of people, but it would still feel okay. I think there's something about with improv, and I know good improv doesn't have to be funny. Like I remember learning that in high school and being like, good improv, you don't have to make people laugh. But I think in my mind, it's like, if I don't...
No, it's very hard to let go of that priority.
But I just want to go back to this one performance because it still comes up years later because my two castmates were like really good. I was shocked. I was like, why are they so good? And the parts I enjoyed were the parts where I was just part of the ensemble, doing the made up choreography on the spot, singing with the group. But when I had to like step forward and be a character, I was like, I'm sick. And after the show, everyone was like, that was so fun. And I was like, I got to be honest, there was not a trace of fun to be had. I did not have any fun. And what's the point of doing improv if you're not going to have fun?
I need a prescription right now because of my experience.
I do. I felt sick. I'm like sweating thinking about it. And when it comes up, people are like, you were good. And I'm like, stop. You have to stop lying to me. I know that I wasn't good. You can't do this.
They were focused on when you were part of the group only because you do have maybe a star quality. And then maybe you had a bad moment and then they just looked at your performance on the whole. So it wasn't exactly a lie. It was just leaning towards what's comfortable to say to someone.
That's you might be right about that, but it's just it haunts me. It haunts me clearly. And we
Yeah.
could talk about it 3 years later.
It's so interesting to hear a Broadway performer speak in these terms. And maybe it's a great reflection of the fact that you were a Broadway performer and now you've decided to go into the mental health space.
Yeah.
So but lead us through that. Is it connected to the fact that it was also stressful for you to be in front of people, or did you always find joy in it? Was it always what it used to be in front of mom and dad and the friends in their 20s?
That's such a good question, and I feel like as I'm answering in my mind and now out loud, I'm
Great.
realizing, no, like, it always was joyous for me. It was, and I even up
It was in
until
your bones, so it didn't matter that you were now introverted as a person because you were
Yeah.
such a pro from such a young age. You know, like you were Serena Williams and Venus Williams, that the comfort level was so deep within
Yeah.
that you knew that was your superpower. So it didn't matter and it was impervious, and it even gave you the confidence temporarily before you had to go back to your shit life off stage.
I mean, my shit life. I don't know. I think now I can acknowledge it as like a superpower, but as I was going through my career, I wouldn't have called it that. But I do think Max and I talk about this all the time. Max is my fiance. That this is something that from such a young age I was working on and honing. And
Right.
I never thought of it as like I'm honing my craft, because it wasn't my craft. It was just like my
Fun.
life. This is just my life and fun. And
Yeah.
so no, and I think even describing me as introverted isn't quite. I think I went through a phase where I was more introverted, but I think I toe the line of like, I know it's sort of trendy to say like I'm an ambivert, but I do think I am. Like, I think maybe I'm an introvert with very extroverted tendencies or something like that. But no, I think my desire to transition into a career in the mental health field has less to do with like a dislike of performing or losing sort of passion for it, and more just a desire for authenticity and like realizing how much of my life has been spent. I don't mean this in a funny way, like performing
Yeah.
on stage, but performing in my life, performing for people off stage, and not really being able to access like who I am intrinsically, and also just wanting to have a more palpable impact on people, like wanting to work with people in a way where I could like feel things happening.
Well, I don't know if this is also related to it, but you have such a vulnerable, approachable, porous way of communicating and existing that I find incredibly attractive, and why I've been drawn to want to be your good friend in the first 5 minutes that I met you. But, you know, I have a lot of friends that are on Broadway, and so I've moved in and out of the Broadway world. Everybody's very nice, but even in real life off stage, they feel very performative. And I sometimes feel exhausted whenever I'm with a bunch of Broadway people, where I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow. And I know that sounds funny coming from me, but I like to think that I'm a big personality that comes from an incredibly authentic, deep place.
Yeah.
Whereas I found that sometimes that wasn't the case. So I didn't know if that was also related to you were tired of performing and you have to kind of perform even off stage being in the Broadway world.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of energy, and a lot of performers are often understandably very animated off stage. And there's like a certain cadence to the way theater people talk and are and communicate.
Right.
And now that I'm not in that world, I have to say I really miss that. Like when I
Oh,
see
you
a
do?
friend, I really do. I miss,
Yeah.
I think sometimes with actors, it can be a little confusing because it's like, I just watched you do this thing up there. Now I'm kind of watching you do this thing out here with me. And like, can I trust this? Are we actually best friends, or are you best friends with everyone? You
Right.
know, that,
Well, I've been accused of that too.
oh, have you?
My wife makes fun of me constantly that I become best friends with people. Like, you're not the first person I become best friends with in the first 5 minutes.
No,
You know,
that's,
it is something that I'm known to do when I really, really am fond of somebody. You know,
yeah,
for my father, he was always that way
yeah.
when he was in the theater. I know I'm looking for that connection constantly with others, with the world, that human connection.
Yeah.
So let's jump back to Come From Away.
Mm.
What's unique about Come From Away is that we're talking about human connection and essentially community. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what Come From Away is about. I saw Come From Away. I think I may have seen it before you were in it. What stretch of years were you in it?
I did the tour from 2018 to 2019, and then I
Mhm.
did the Broadway production 2019 to 2020, COVID break, and then I did
Wow.
the show from 2021 till it closed in 2022.
Oh, wow. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure I saw it on Broadway before you arrived,
that
but I did see it and I know what it's about. And so I do find it interesting how poetic the story itself is as it relates to the conversation we're having.
yeah, I mean, if I talk about it too much, I'll
Sorry.
cry.
But that's why
It
I
is
had
it's I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna cry at some
close
point.
up, Jimmy.
Bring out the tissues. I feel so lucky that I got to be a part of that show. Like, I think honestly, part of the reason I feel content to move on to this new career is because I'm like, you know what? That chapter closed with Come From Away. I honestly don't know how I could top that experience because it wasn't just a show. It's like, oh, I'm doing this gig. I'm singing and dancing 8 times a week.
You left it all out on the field.
Kind of that show allowed me it I've never been a part of something so like heart forward and that had such a profound impact on literally every audience I ever performed that show for. The
My
group
mom
of
said that it was the greatest theatrical experience of her life.
I'm
That's what
not
made me
surprised
do
to
it.
hear that. It's so moving to hear that and I'm not surprised because it's so life affirming. It's genuinely funny. I can't even the group of people that I worked with from the producers from the top down just truly incredible people that I do consider to be like family. And it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. I met Max, who's now my partner and the father of my two children.
Yeah.
I met him doing that show. When I finished my undergraduate degree online, the president of the university I graduated from arranged with the stage management team to give me my diploma on stage in front of an audience of like the fact that I got to be in the Apple TV Plus version, like all of these life things that I just attribute directly to that show. It's like the greatest gift of my life in some ways to have been a part of
Wow.
it. And yeah.
It's interesting that that is what inspired you to want to hang them up. Because I know as someone who is an actor, when I had a great experience in a show, there was both a sadness that it was over, but also a desire to do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
That it's not a comparison of like, well, nothing will be as good as that. I would think you could feel that way if like you lost the love of your life, that you might feel something like that. But when it comes to something of this nature, I would think that it
Yeah,
will inspire you. So I'm a little curious about that.
I'm having two thoughts in response to that. One is it actually is kind of a nice full circle for us about being a part of an ensemble versus being like the show off versus the more introverted version of me. Come
Yeah.
From Away is like the definition of an ensemble piece.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not a piece for showing off. It's just not.
Mhm.
So I think because it was that experience, I felt like I was a part of something much bigger than just I
Mm.
was because of everything I'm describing about the theatrical aspect of it, but also like it's a real story. It's a true story about real people. And it's about this extremely significant event in our history. Come From Away tells the very true story of they call it the 9/12 musical because it's not about
Right.
the day 9/11, it's about what
That's
followed.
what
But
happened after. Right.
yeah. So, basically all of these planes got diverted to this tiny town in Newfoundland called Gander because the airspace closed. And they landed in Gander, 38 planes to be exact. And this is a town, I think it had a population of 9,000 and 7,000 passengers landed there. And they had to house, feed, clothe them. And they were there for 5 days. So the show tells the story of those 5 days in Gander. I'm going to cry. It's just like,
No,
it's,
I know. It's beautiful. It's a story about community and
yeah.
joy and playfulness and what can happen when tragedy strikes in the most beautiful way.
And I've met all of these Newfoundlanders, and there is something very uniquely generous and loving about them. Like, there was no question. There was no, like, oh, God, do we have to do this? It's like, no, right, tragedy struck. These people are here. They need comfort. They need food. And we're going to give that to them. And it's hard to believe it actually happened, I think, but it did. It all did.
I mean, fun fact about me, I moved to New York City on August 1st, 2001.
2001. Oy,
Yup.
oy.
You people sure know how to throw a welcoming party. For someone who was born and raised in the Midwest, it was a rude awakening. It was a carnival and really fun and really intense. And yet I wasn't used to people being that
Yeah.
openly hostile and rude,
Yeah.
unapologetically so.
Unapologetic.
And
Yeah.
yet, once 9/11 happened, and anybody will tell you this that was there at the time, the soft underbelly and community
Oh,
of New
yes.
York City was
Yes.
exposed
Yes.
immediately.
It was.
So if New Yorkers
Yeah.
can turn out like that,
Totally.
then certainly I believe people from Newfoundland,
Yes.
it's not surprising that based on and the days following, it was at its peak of
Yes.
generosity.
Yes.
So,
No, you're right. And you're right to name that because I grew up in New York City and it was my 5th day at my new high school. 9/11 was like, yeah. So one of the first days of rehearsal for the tour of Come From Away, we all sat around and the director had us each go down the line one by one and tell our 9/11 story. And it was like
oh wow, brilliant.
beautiful. And because we all have one. And that's what would happen often after the shows too. People would come up to you and want to share their story. But yes, so being in New York, I definitely remember fondly that kindness, the generosity that revealed itself.
I think I'm really starting to understand now why this was the last show for you. Because what Come From Away did, I wouldn't say it was the greatest score I've ever heard, and it wasn't that extra flashy, but it
Not that.
had this sincerity and depth
Yeah.
for just the audience members. So I
Yeah.
can't imagine what going through being part of the production was like, that for somebody as deep as you are, that you were like, the revival of Music Man is not going to get the job done.
So this was the other side of my answer to that question is, so being a part of something meaningful, sincere, deep, profound, yes. Something ensemble based, which is not, so I'm not showing up to work every day to be like, gotta get ready for my 11 o'clock number where I belt to
Right.
it was just like, it felt a little like utilitarian. Like I'm here to move some chairs around and say some funny lines and be a part of this piece.
Right.
And then there's also the answer, which is doing 8 shows a week isn't, I don't want to do that
It's
anymore. And
Herculean.
well, it is. And it's also like, it's boring. It's repetitive and it's boring. And
Totally.
the fact that I was feeling that way doing a show that I
This good.
loved so deeply, that was so good, that was 100 minutes long, that had
Right.
audiences that loved it, like it with the best people that I loved so much. It was a perfect work scenario, and yet I still
I get this. I never made it to Broadway, but I did do shows that went on for a long period of
yeah,
time. You
yeah,
play Pass the Penny, you play all of these other games to try to make this just the monotony of the
monotony.
same fucking show every fucking day. It's like Groundhog Day, but on like fast forward.
And that's the job. I had also never done a show as long as I did Come From Away. So I've done a lot of shows that have had like 3-month runs or things like that. But to do a show for like multiple years was brand new to me.
I think that people don't know the unglamorous,
Yeah,
grueling nature
yeah,
of the business, even at its absolute pinnacle.
exactly. So it's like, here I am on this Broadway stage doing this job, this thing that I've really worked my whole life for.
Right.
And I felt so much gratitude and so much good fortune that
Yep.
was but it was the pinnacle. And it's like, okay, you know what? I did that. And I got to do it in a show that I'm so proud to say I was a part of. I'm good. Like, let's kind of like close the door and see
Next
what happens
chapter.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
very profound what you're saying. And and the fact that you wanted to go into the mental health space, no less, was there a letting go of the performance? Or was it really more of a, I've wanted to let go of the performance. Now let me at it. I'm ready for the next phase. And so it was organic.
I think it was more the latter. I'd been thinking about it for a few years. And I think I was able to start thinking about it because I was in the safe cocoon of Come From Away. I was protected by this job, this show. I,
And because you've done it so many times, you can be thinking and probably are thinking about other things while you're on stage
oh, yeah.
once you've done it
Yeah, for
however
sure.
many
Oh, yeah.
times,
Yeah, yeah.
including what am I going to do next with my life? And so you were in an incubation period in the last couple of years, probably. With
Yeah. So that sort of freed up brain space for me to be able to go back to school, which is what I was doing for a few years there. But I have to say, I think when that seed was planted was really during COVID because I had been doing the show and then suddenly it was like, oh no, we're not coming back in 2 weeks. There's going to be a
right,
significant period of time.
two
So I
weeks.
That's what everyone said.
And then it's
So
not
I'm
gonna
like,
be 2
okay,
weeks, it's gonna be 6
we,
weeks.
we can do it. We can do 6 weeks. No, it was a full year and a half. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to go back to school and finish my undergraduate degree, which I had never done. So I did that. And as I was doing that, I started thinking, like, toward the end of that, finishing that degree, I was like, could I become a therapist? Could I go to grad school? And this was a could I, because I felt like, am I qualified? Will anyone take me seriously? Because it feels like finishing my undergraduate degree was like, I can do this. And I can finally say I did this. But going a step beyond that felt like, no, no, sweetie, that's too, like, that was my internal.
Something has changed within me.
But so the decision to go to grad school happened while I was still doing the show. And I do think that provided me with some, like,
Maybe without COVID, you may have stayed in the business a little longer and maybe then eventually got to where you are.
when I look back at my career, I feel like 2016 to 2020, I was
Yeah.
like, my career was like booming. I was like doing cool projects, and I was like really on this cool
I think
trajectory.
it was Trump becoming president really just
I
brought
love that
everybody
guy.
in.
I love that guy so much.
Such a great and such
Such a
a
good
supporter
guy.
of the arts. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
he's so handsome. No,
Suited.
yeah. But I think it was right. That 4-year term, right? It coincides with my career really
I was gonna
taking off.
say.
Um,
It's when
but so,
everybody started taking off.
yeah. But I do wonder, COVID hadn't happened, yeah, I might still be like doing that whole hustle. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'd
Yeah.
like to believe I would ultimately have ended up sort of where I am, you know?
Well, it's the single biggest event of our lifetime.
Yeah.
It had been 9/11. Funny enough, we're talking about all the hits right now.
Yeah, all
But
the
in terms of the global impact, it's not even close between the two.
no. No, I mean, this
Yeah.
is 6 years later and we're still feeling the reverberations of it, you know?
I have a hard time because it was a perfect storm on a lot of levels, but one of the biggest attribute of the perfect storm of Andy's demise was COVID, was his isolation. And what happened to his brain, and then in reaction to his brain, his body during isolation. It was doomsday for him. So, yeah, it's a difficult pill for me to swallow.
Yeah.
Like you could say, well, the medication was going to lose efficacy. I'm like, yeah, that part was going to happen. But that all happened that coincided with a complete loss of community,
Yeah.
and for him in his case, actual legitimate isolation that would have made someone who doesn't have any mental problems
Yeah.
go to a dark place.
Well,
So that is all to say that it was the monumental event of our lifetime, and unfortunately it both had a positive effect on your career and quite a negative impact on our family and countless others.
I think it's really important to name that. And obviously, like, you're speaking to this massive tragedy in your personal life. And it makes me wonder how many people out there have a comparable story. It's what you just said. Even people who didn't suffer mental illness, the isolation that everyone was sort of forced to experience, like, what did that do to people?
Was your meditating on this question during this time why you specifically wanted to go into the mental health space? I got what laid the foreground for it to happen, but what was the actual spark that was like, this is the thing?
It feels like a bit more of a sort of a slow burn for
Yeah,
me.
I think
To
a
me,
lot of things are that way.
yeah, I feel like it just kind of dawned on me slowly, like, oh, this is a thing that I could do. I've been like an avid therapy goer for so many years of my life, and I am
Give
obsessed
it
with
to myself for free.
hey, so much money.
Here
But
I am paying other people like a sucker.
I'm not falling into that trap anymore. But I mean, my therapist, she's no longer my therapist, but she was for many years. I was just like very inspired by her and her passion for her work and all of the ways she changed my life. So I started talking about it with her and getting her support, and felt like a huge vote of confidence, which is like maybe something I need to figure out. I shouldn't need someone else to be like, you could do this in order to pursue it. But
What's your name?
did you just say what's your name to me? No, you said
I'm
Emily
sorry.
Walton.
I know it seems late in the game
So,
for this. I like you so much. Like, it's
what?
like that Seinfeld. You don't get the name at the beginning, and then at that point, it's awkward.
Too awkward.
Yes.
But now we've 45 minutes in, months and months into knowing each other.
Can you
My
imagine
name
we
is
closed
Emily
a deal
Walton.
together? How that your name could have evaded me?
Yeah, that would be very impressive, actually. No, her name is Kristen Miskell,
Uh,
and she is just an incredible person, an incredible therapist, and
your spirit animal. You're not supposed to say that anymore, but I'm going to do it
I
anyway.
would say she definitely was like, is still just when I think about the kind of therapist I hope to be. I mean, she's the image for me, for sure. And also just knowing when throughout my career, thinking like, what would I do? What could I do if not act or sing? And I think that was always my answer.
Mine was always mailman. So it was cool that I became a real estate agent because mailman isn't quite as glamorous. I prefer this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're in a very good field for who you are, but I think mailmen are really holding it down out there.
Oh my God. We have Rose, my mail lady.
Oh, Rose,
She's
beautiful.
adorable.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess that's just to answer your question. It wasn't like a spark. It wasn't like an aha moment. It was just kind of I'm getting my bachelor's in psychology. Like,
Uh-huh.
whoa, I could actually lean into this and make something of this. And it all just kind of, I think,
Flowed from there.
yeah, I think giving myself permission to take myself seriously enough to apply to grad school was a huge step for me.
Well, let's talk about grad school. I mean, that coincided with your becoming a mother.
Yeah,
I mean,
it did.
I think I know the answer to the question, which is harder, grad school or becoming a mother?
You know the answer to the question.
I know the
And it's
answer.
not grad school. Yeah, no, the timing is absurd. But it's something I'll probably brag about forever, that it's like, yes, I started grad school in 2022. I had my first baby in January of 2024 and my second baby in August.
And I ran a triathlon right in the middle of that 2 months after I had my first child.
So I had 2 kids while I was in grad school. That's that's a pretty big thing. And I think
Yes, I love the way you caught up to that as you said it. That's a pretty big thing. That's maybe the biggest thing that has ever been in existence of things.
No, because also here's what I'm realizing now that I'm like starting this work is I'm like, why do I feel like I never went to grad school? Oh, it's because I was like pregnant and having a baby and then pregnant and having another baby. And so my brain was just like, I was doing it and I was learning, but my attention was really split for the whole time because I was becoming a mother, learning how to do that too.
The discipline that parenthood demands of you, in a way, you're only have so much time in the day, but it almost makes certain aspects of doing the work for grad school or any work not easier, but it trains you. I felt so grateful that I was a Manhattan, not a real estate agent, but a Manhattan real estate agent with all of the co-op board packages and big personalities and ruthlessness and relentlessness that it requires to do that was a great preamble for me becoming a father. And all to say that the discipline that being a new parent requires is probably even greater. But any amount of training that you can have, does this resonate with you?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking it does. The discipline aspect does, but I'm also thinking finishing grad school was always very important to me. Like not having to take time off I was in a program that was asynchronous, so I could do work whenever I could do work.
Right.
But I think what becoming a mom did for me in terms of school was like lower the stakes a little bit. I think I was able to
let go of standards.
Which was hard to submit a paper and be like, oh, that wasn't my best
be
work.
okay with imperfection. Because parenthood is so goddamn messy.
It's the being okay with imperfection is really something. I'm like pulling at my shirt as I'm talking about it. It's especially in motherhood, it's really challenging for me.
I've talked about this in an old podcast. The paradox of parenthood is fascinating. It at once makes you more vigilant, more diligent, more controlled, more specific, hyper aware of details, which all has to do with total control, while at the same time knowing that it is absolute chaos on a level that you've never seen and having to make your comfort with being okay with that. And so it's both more controlled in terms of like
Yeah.
OCD and then
Yeah.
also more loose. And that's what I have found to be, and it's just age. I get my panties in a wad over details that I never would have in the past. And that's also why my house is beautiful and a lot of other things are great, but then it's also not great because like I concern myself with like, it's okay if that dish is dirty and it's on the table and it stays there for 6 months. I'm just kidding. But you know,
That one dish just we can't seem to manage cleaning
and
it.
I don't know why. Everything else looks great. And it's this
Yeah.
dish and it has bacteria on it
Yeah.
becoming.
But that's life.
I mean, I should have pointed out it's a petri dish.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, yeah, you should have said that. Um, yeah, but see, you articulating it that way, like I haven't even been able to do that for myself of like the hyper focus, hyper vigilance, and then the paradox of got to be loosey goosey, go with the flow because things are chaotic, and
yeah.
for just sort of manifests in like feeling overstimulated like 100% of the time.
Well, it's
Also,
worth mentioning, and I suggested it at the beginning of the podcast, but this was the 5th or 6th session we had scheduled
yeah,
and
something like that.
had been canceled every time because of
Yeah,
how overwhelmed you are with
yeah,
having your second child
yeah,
in less than 2 years.
yeah. They're 19
Okay.
months apart.
Oh, wow. And the last blossom having been born in August?
August.
Right.
Yeah,
So, and I just only have one, and it's,
so much.
insanity.
Yeah.
So,
The first few times I had to cancel were literally because I just couldn't, my head was not on straight. And I couldn't even envision myself having a conversation like this and being able to focus. And probably now is a good time to say, with Blossom, who was born last August, I have been dealing with postpartum depression and postpartum panic disorders under the umbrella of postpartum depression. There's been some OCD in there too. Like it's been a really
you sprinkled on.
just sprinkled on just for fun. But
Just
yeah, and of course anxiety. If that, I hope that's implied.
oh, yeah, yeah. That goes without.
She was born in August and I was okay for those first 3 months of her life, and then in mid-November, which is literally on my birthday, which is November 16th, that day is when I feel like the rug got pulled out from underneath me and I was like, I'm not okay. So since then, honestly, I mean, I'm doing so much better now. This is March 9th that we're talking. Like I'm doing a lot better, but it's been the hardest time of my life for sure. So I think knowing that this would be like a fruitful and enjoyable and engaging conversation and probably cathartic, I felt like I need to be able to show up for this with like
Yeah.
myself intact, and I wasn't intact,
Yeah.
you know. And so that all to say, like, parenthood of young children is so difficult and so challenging and so chaotic, but then adding what this has been for me to the mix has just made it like pretty impossible at times.
Insurmountable.
Insurmountable.
So, how does your experience with all that you've studied with the mental health space, and we have barely heard about the specifics around that,
Yeah.
how has that helped or given you a framing for what you're going through right now?
In some ways, I feel like it hasn't helped at all
Yeah,
because
'cause you're in it.
I'm in it. And there have been times where I've tried to like diagnose myself or found myself worrying about certain diagnoses and I'm like thinking about the DSM, and that's an aspect of it that has been a little bizarre. But no, mostly I've been going like, why can't I call on any of the tools I know or any of the skills I might try to share with a client going through something similar? Why can't
Yeah.
I access any of that? And
It goes back to that old adage about like a plumber, the only toilet that doesn't work is a plumber's. Know that one?
no, I don't know that one.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
got the right wording, but
Yeah.
content of it I got right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it speaks to exactly what you're talking about. Is that when
Well,
you're an expert on something doesn't necessarily make you a candidate for perfection in that arena.
no, and I don't think, but that's been such a powerful lesson that I'm still learning about this experience is like, I was also putting off starting work as a therapist because I needed to figure out what was going on with me. But what I'm coming to understand is that there is no like ultimate perfection or enlightenment I'm going to reach and then I can help people. It's like,
Right.
no, I'm healing myself and I can also be there to help others find their healing and starting to understand that what I've been going through is going to help make me a better clinician, it's an asset. It's not something to fight against. It's something to like lean on in my work with other people.
Yeah.
And that has, I'm getting emotional again, but that has helped me feel like empowered to start this work again, because I was really scared to do it because I thought I'm in no shape to sit across from someone and try to help them.
Give advice. Right.
Yeah, I'm just a person too, you know?
Well, right now, after what you've been through, you're more than just a person. You're a bit of a superhero. So you just finished this phase, although it could come back. You're having a good day, but
Mhm.
I don't want to be Pollyanna about this. I know how hard it is. I live with a woman who has postpartum depression that shows up for her as anxiety as well,
Yeah,
most of the time, which was something that I did not understand. I just heard the name, the label, and then I
yeah.
just figured that that's what it was. What have you learned so far?
About this
What have you learned in your journey,
oh,
this most difficult part of your life?
well, I think an important thing to name is that it's not my fault and it's not Amanda's fault. You know, it's really out of our control. Like there is just so much that happens chemically and hormonally for us when we go through the process of having babies. For some people, it's not so easy. So trying to come to terms with that to try to remove some of the blame or shame about just having it in the first place, and kind of leaning into the feeling of like, this isn't fair. This sucks. This is not fair that this is something
It's
I've had to
weird
do.
that nature works this way.
It doesn't make sense. It's the most miraculous thing, but it's also just the most common thing. It's like this is happening all day, every day. People are giving birth. Like, why should this thing cause such?
Well, I mean, I could get on board with the gnarly, Herculean, impossible feat of pregnancy and childbirth itself. And as someone who watched it firsthand and watched this incredible woman after agonizing, she had
Oh,
back
back
labor.
labor. Yeah.
So she had, for those that don't know, between the contractions, if you're having a normal, healthy birth, you actually get a bit of a break, from what I understand, in between the contractions. And then the contractions are really intense and then it relents. So getting those breaks is sort of everything. And she didn't get that. She was not granted that. So it was just this punishing experience
Yeah.
that had no end. And so for that many hours into then the sheer pushing, which was another 3 hours,
Yeah.
was just like at the end of that, you get your baby. And wouldn't you think that then the work is going to be there, but then there wouldn't be this goddamn postpartum depression? That's the part. The sacrifice into reward is something that's just part of life. That's a beautiful part of life.
Yeah.
And it all squares with me. But the fucking postpartum depression, it
Yeah.
doesn't square. It just
Yeah.
feels a level of unfair that's
It
so
is.
fucked.
It is. And I am really sorry that that's been her experience, because what you're describing, that your wife's brain and body have gone through all the things you just named. It's really, it's kind of unbelievable. And
Yeah,
it
calling.
is not
It's
fair.
calling.
Yeah, it is. And to have to show up then every day to keep that baby alive that's
Right.
suddenly in your arms, and to not just keep them alive, but to hopefully show up with some amount of grace and joy and love. I mean, I don't know how much detail to get into, but like for a while there, I didn't recognize myself. I really couldn't find my core at all. And it was terrifying, very dark and very scary. And yet I'm someone who is comfortable talking about my mental health. Obviously, I thank God have access to resources. I
Right.
have family that supports me. I have a partner who's like, I have and had all of the things in place to help lift me up out of this. And yet it was still unbelievably devastating to go through. And I think that's also something I have learned, is trying to find even a trace of like some self-compassion for all of us at any point in our lives, not just if we're going through postpartum depression, but just like
Right.
finding a little bit of softness toward yourself to say, "Oh my God, this is so hard what you're going through. What you're doing is so hard." And I'm having more now that I think I'm kind of on the other side of it, where I'm looking
Yeah.
back and going, you poor thing. I'm like able to look at myself from December and go, like, honestly, when I met you, no, it started like right after we first met. It was like,
Yeah.
it was you. It was you.
I was the one responsible for you having postpartum depression. And by the way, I've been told that by so many women.
I
There's
felt
like that have nothing to do with my wife. They're just like, just meeting you.
it's not a badge of honor.
You fucking suck.
He was the catalyst. But I'm just thinking about timing. So when I look at me from December, it breaks my heart because I see, I mean, I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't eat. I was literally just shaking all day, every day. I felt like I couldn't be with my kids. Like it was unbearable, like truly unbearable.
The sleeping is an interesting aspect because what it seemed like is that there was no way around the fact that Amanda was not going to be able to sleep even close to the amount that she needs, or that anybody needs, in the first 3 to 4 months of Asher's life. But what's been interesting is that getting the sleep she needs, because he sleeps like incredibly, and we got very lucky. He's like sleeps 15 hours a night most of the time without a problem. I know
Wow.
you hate me. I tell other parents. I've had other parents where they hear that stat and they go, "You probably shouldn't share that with other parents because they're
Wait a
going
second,
to
you
have
said 15
anger towards
15
you."
hours a day, 15 hours total in a day. Is that what you're saying?
No,
15
no,
hours at night.
I mean 14 hours straight
At,
through, and then also the naps.
wait, what? So how does that work?
He was going to bed at like 5:30, and then he'd wake up at 7 a.m.
Oh my God. Okay, that's wild. I've never heard of anything like that before. I just have to say this. I like hear Blossom, my baby, upstairs making
Yeah,
noise, and I'm like, she's supposed to be sleeping right now. And this
yeah.
is the thing that is like so the fixation point of my anxiety
Oh, totally.
postpartum that I'm like, I'm
Oh,
hearing it and I'm like, why isn't she asleep? Why isn't she asleep? And now I'm scared for the rest of the day. Like this is actually
I
good that it's happening.
and yeah, just to finish the thought
Yeah.
about Amanda's sleep,
Yeah.
is that once she started getting the sleep she needed and that nourishment, it is what brought up all of these feelings of anxiety and sadness and all that goes into postpartum depression. And she was in just sheer survival mode where half of her brain was shut down when she was getting 3 hours of sleep every single night.
Right.
That
Right.
it was just war. So she
Yeah.
didn't even have the time, or she didn't even have the energy or the rest to even have her fucking feelings. And so finally, when he started sleeping through the night,
Yeah.
that's when the postpartum depression actually began. Does that make sense? Like I've
Like,
had, through healing, through my grief with Andy, some of my angriest days, my most rageful, my most horrible feelings in the year or two following his death happened when I was really well rested, when
mm.
I had like really great sleep at night, because I didn't even have the energy to go to that
That's
place.
really interesting. And I think I'm curious though about which feelings like to show up when we're better rested. Because I think when I'm better rested, like today, I got pretty good sleep last night, I will say. Not amazing, but better than it's been.
So good that when it sounded like maybe you were trying to cancel again, the main reason I didn't want to was like, oh, I had a really good night's sleep. Oh, this is going to be so good.
No, but I'm thinking that the fact that I'm able to access a little bit more of the self-compassion, a little bit more of like the softer,
Yeah.
quieter feelings.
Hmm.
Whereas when I'm underslept and my nervous system is shot, I go to anger and like
Yeah.
agitation and
Of course.
tightness.
Of course.
I think that's probably pretty common. But it is interesting, like which feelings reveal themselves when we have more access to them or
Yeah.
something. But so how is she doing now? I mean, can we talk about that? Like, or no? We should. We should.
Love the idea. This podcast just becomes about Amanda's experience. And even though
Literally.
you are going through that exact thing
No, okay,
as my
fine.
podcast guest,
Well,
she's doing better. I mean, and it also, not for nothing, I just started saying that expression so much more lately.
not for nothing. I say it a lot too.
It's an,
I also say, and I've said it now multiple times here, is all that to say, all that to
yeah, I
say,
know. I've started saying that too.
which is
I-
fine.
No, that's a new development in my repertoire only in the last year or two.
All that to say. I think it's
All,
nice. It's a little
all
like,
to
let me
say.
just
Well, you
summarize
see,
to say. I say all that to say, but I like all to say. It's quicker. All
I
to
think
say.
why I do that. What the fuck were we talking about?
I asked how Amanda is doing now
Yeah.
instead.
It does feel that one of the other hidden rewards of parenthood is that overall, after the first phase, it not only gets a little easier, unless you're having a second one. But if we're just looking at the one kid's life, and they get so much cuter. And the rewards of them becoming a person before your very eyes is so magnificent
Yeah,
as
definitely.
you fall deeper in love, get more engaged with them. And of course, there are days that are regressive. Overall, it's really just a
Yeah,
graph. It's just a straight shot up
it
to
is. It
glory.
is.
And another observation that I've made about parenthood is there's nothing in the world that can give you that much unbridled, pure, beautiful joy, while at the same time, that same thing is creating so much more stress and so much more heaviness
Heavy,
than
heavy.
anything else. Like, that's another paradox of parenthood, that anything else in your life, think about it. Any other thing that would create that type of joy would be like, it's like when you fall in love for the first time. It's just every day. It's like you go to lunch and you're like, what's going on? All the little moments are all of a sudden easier. Everything is wonderful and light. And that is how everything was before parenthood. Anything that brought you immense joy would have staying power, and they would be pure in its joy. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It
Yet
makes total
that
sense.
parenthood is greater joy in those perfect
Yeah.
moments than anything you've ever seen, while at the same time saddling you with this immense work and darkness and responsibility.
Yeah, no, you're saying it so well, and that is absolutely what it is. So I have now a 2-year-old and an almost 7-month-old. So with Olive, who you've met, like the 2-year-old, she is fully talking and a person. It's unbelievable. And it's that too. It's like there are moments of the day where I'm like, I have never been more in love with this person. She is so smart. She is so funny. Her little voice. I want to record everything she says and keep it for the rest of
And
my
we
life.
are.
And we are. And then the flip side of it is she won't do the things that I need her to do, and she takes forever, and she wants to stomp in the puddles while I need to get her in the car. And it's like every day is just filled with so much frustration and so much love, and it's like whiplash. I can't. Yeah, it's everything is just more serious. Life. This is the
It
weight of
is.
this responsibility
It
is
is.
really.
It doesn't mean that all of life is serious now. I mean, our conversation right now is filled with so much humor and joy and light.
Yeah,
But then we're going to turn it off and we're going to go back to the hell that our lives are. No, I'm just kidding. But the point is there is that layer now, but it's also what creates that depth, right?
totally right. There's nothing. I mean, Max and I talk about this a lot. Like, it's so fucking hard, and we look at our lives pre-kids, and we're like, what did we think?
We blew
Why
it.
were we
We blew a not
blew it?
appreciating
We
as
blew it.
much.
We
We should
like,
have.
as much as we wanted, we could like it just the freedom.
Oh my
And
God.
but then also I know even despite going through these last few months that have been the hardest of my life, there's no other version of my life that I want. I do think like having these kids, this is what I want my life to be. Like despite the difficulty, despite the sometimes agony, it's like this is the depth that I want my life to have, you know.
And that is another great aspect to parenthood, because life will never be boring again.
Never boring.
Anytime we get a break and we get to like watch a movie like we did last night, we got to
Oh,
finish tonight.
a movie. Oh, you got to finish tonight. Okay.
It's just delicious.
Yeah, it's true.
I
Right.
mean,
Slivers of time. I will say that. Yeah, slivers of time become
right.
20 minutes of peace is like,
Yes.
okay, I can subsist on this. I can live.
It's
Yeah,
like manna from heaven. I just want to like drink it.
it is. It's so nice. I mean, we watched a movie. When you said a movie, I was like, we can't watch a movie. But the fact that you said you have to finish it tonight,
Well, I
but
told you about sleep.
I know. Oh God, it's Olive is an
I know you
incredible
are.
sleeper, but Blossom is. We're in the weeds with her right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but last night we watched the first episode of Pluribus.
We watched the season.
So yeah, we just watched the first, and I think we're gonna keep it up. But it was like
Yes.
we got through a 56-minute long. Usually we just watch a 20-minute episode of Parks and Rec or something, and that's all we can do.
The second half of the season is much slower, I will tell you, than
Okay.
the first half of the season.
Okay.
I'm just warning you. It's still great because the concept is so interesting,
Yeah.
and we don't have to have this podcast. They had the most amazing, thought-provoking podcast, and then the last 15 minutes was just about
This
Pluribus.
is so Pluribus.
It's so strange.
Also-
But something that I do think have not explored that much is your actual work. And are you newly inspired, having mustered through this difficult time.
Yes, I think I'm still emerging from the difficult time, so I don't feel comfortable saying like I'm newly inspired because I'm looking back and seeing all the progress I've made. Like I'm still like in it, but I have made significant progress. So I am newly inspired because I look forward to a day when I am able to help other women who have been through or are going through a perinatal mood and anxiety disorder. I feel like if my life as a therapist, if my life's work became that and that alone, I would be
Well,
just,
that it kind of reminds me of your come from away into the career path, that you allowed your life experience to sort of lead the way into the next chapter. And that
yeah.
could very well be the universe conspiring
It
and poetically telling you something.
I wish the journey to get there maybe had been a little less bleak, but that's like
You could
if
say that
that's
about
where it,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, truly. And if it leads me there, what I will say is my work right now, I'm working for creative care mental health counseling, which is primarily my supervisor who it's her private practice. She primarily works with creatives and with like a special focus on performing artists. She's a former actor herself. That's she and I
Uh,
go way back, and that's who I will be working with ostensibly as I work for her. And that to me makes a lot of sense given my background. Like, yeah,
It
I will.
doesn't just make sense. I think that I don't know what it's like to work with people that are incredibly shut down, but let me just say, as someone who interacts with people all the time, when I get to do a deal with people that I love as much as you, it really does take the work out of the work. It's so much fun. And that's what's great about working on the buy side a lot of the time, which is what I do, is
Yeah,
that the contract between us is our fondness for each other. Meaning you're supposed to sign something, all that, and to work together because we met and we went, oh, yeah, this is a
yeah.
yes. And so that connective tissue and having that makes the job really fun. And I think that in the same way, if you were working with people that were incredibly unjoyful, shut down, which you're going to find a lot more outside of this world, it could be really tough.
Well, it's what we talked about. There is a certain type of expression that a lot of performing artists possess. And I do feel
Yeah.
like there's a sparkliness to the conversation, even if
Right.
the conversation is therapist and client and they're having problems that they want to talk through.
Yeah.
There's still
Case in point.
there's like a vulnerability, there's an openness,
Yeah.
there's also just like a playfulness, which makes for really interesting conversation. But I also just think the foundational knowledge that I come to this work with, like if I'm working with actors, they're
Right.
never going to have to explain to me like
Yeah.
what a callback is or what, and like the
Yeah.
nitty gritty of the industry. It's like,
The lexicon, the culture.
right, right. You don't have to waste
You
time
speak the
explaining.
language.
Yeah, yes. So that is exciting to me, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I also just want to say, just to plug my future work, which will definitely be specifically
Plug
for
it.
perinatal women. Like that's not where I am right now. Now, if anybody's hearing this who is in the perinatal population and wants to work with me, please find me because another thing that has helped me keep going is talking to other women I've never even met in person who friends of friends connected me and we've texted and talked on the phone, women who have been through postpartum depression or their version of a postpartum mood and anxiety disorder,
Yeah.
who say to me, this will not last, you are going to get through this. I am on the other side of this and I'm
Yeah.
here, like I'm your lifeline and I'm telling you it is unbearable what you're going through, but you will get through it. If I can be that voice for people for the rest of my life, I will do that because having babies is so hard. Becoming a parent is so hard. Going through the postpartum period is hard, but having this, they call them PMADs, perinatal mood and anxiety disorder, having that, like you said, on top of everything else, I never knew how bad it could be. I didn't know.
You can't. You can't know what
Yeah.
you don't know until you know it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're really speaking to what sounds like your life's work that
Yeah.
gives you so much meaning. And I feel like it's all connected to the sacrifice that you're making right now, just stating and creating little humans. It's like
Yeah.
you're being a mother, you're being like actual mother of these little people that you are nurturing. And as a therapist, there's a mothering, a nurturing that happens as you are their psychic shepherd. You know,
That's beautiful.
it's all very, very related
Yeah.
and rich and hard, but fucking rewarding, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, thank you for articulating it that way. I feel like that's really powerful. And I'm still so new at this work that I don't feel fully equipped to like deem it that, to say like that I will be nurturing and mothering, but that is what I want to be doing for clients. But I'm
Yeah.
still new. And I want to be honest about that too for anybody, who is going to be working with me. It's like, I'm not trying to trick anyone into thinking I'm like this seasoned expert who's been doing this for decades. Like, I'm not. And
I'm pointing this out aside from the poetry of it to say that all to say that it's literally building your acumen for being an even more outstanding therapist in real time.
yeah, yeah,
Like it is a direct correlation between
yeah.
the work you're doing, boots on the ground, in the house, raising these children to the degree that I think as the years go by, you're going to be like, I can't believe I was like ever even kind of dabbling in it before I was a mother. I think that's how important it is, certainly for you.
No, I think you're right. I can definitely hear that and believe that. But I'm just thinking about you saying a few minutes or however long ago, like,
Yeah.
we've hardly talked about your work. We've talked so much about my work as an actor because I have 20 years of
Right.
experience of saying, this is what I did and this is how I talk about it. But this new work is so, yeah, I don't have as much to talk about because I'm still, like you're saying, I'm building my acumen. I'm in my conscious incompetence phase. I'm like, I know how much I don't know.
Your story fascinates me in general and resonates with me so deeply. You know, I'm a classically trained actor. I really loved acting. I still love acting,
Yeah,
but I would be lying if I didn't tell you that the business started becoming about so much, I don't want to say more because it felt like less, something so different than what I had signed up for. You
yeah,
know, being part of community theater and then going into college and I was in the audition to get into Intense Conservatory. I did that for all of my college career. That's all working on the actual art of being
yeah,
an actor
yeah,
and the community that comes out of putting a show together and all of that stuff. And then when you go into the world, it was so much about being cool and business and auditioning and networking. And it was just, you would think somebody with my personality, I would be like, oh, great. But I'm also an incredibly sensitive person. And so that energy was very difficult tightrope to walk. And I found myself repeatedly feeling just bummed out. I would go on these commercial auditions and with the stupidest scripts, doing something that like I said to myself, like, I don't even like this.
yeah,
Like, what am I doing?
yeah, yeah.
It's like getting dumped by somebody that you're dating that you don't even like. You're like, I don't, why am I, you know what I'm saying? It was
Yes,
just
yes.
strange. And the idea that like you're trying to get an agent to pay attention to you, like, I'm the actor. You should be talking to me. And just
Yeah,
this whole idea of the way that it was flipped. And looking back on it, I wish I would have just like not worried about the big stuff and just gone into like just plays. And
yeah,
it's like Joseph Campbell. There's a famous quote. It's follow the bliss. And it's about what I'm saying right now,
yeah.
which is like the key to finding success is not going on commercial auditions and
Oh,
meaningless things that are only going to taint the beauty in what your life's work is. And it's hard to figure out where you are just being weak and afraid of the work and afraid of challenge, and where it's actually something that you should not invest time in. And it's hard because they both can look very similar to you in the moment.
well, it makes sense, and I think especially the only experience I can liken that to is my experience as an actor as well, and it's like, I think especially when you're young and going through that stuff, it's really hard to discern between those 2 things you're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because one is like absolutely no question. And I'm going to tell Asher, and I would say to anybody, you do have to work hard. You do have to be disciplined. That is all really important. And then there's other times where you're like, stop trying to make fetch happen. As my wife and I love saying, when you're like,
Yeah.
you're forcing something it's not a fit, and go
Yeah.
around the other way.
But it's really hard to do that when you've devoted a lot of time and effort and energy to something and you feel like you should, like there's a
No, I meant go around the other way, not leave the
oh,
mountain. Find another path to the top,
yeah.
because this isn't it. This isn't fruitful, and they're not going to have enough bliss during the journey that's going to give you that fuel you need to make it to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
This
it
is
all
being a better pill as well.
it's very resonant, and I think you can apply it to anything in life, really.
One of the lines I learned in only the last couple of years was, do what's hard and things will be easy. Do what's easy and things will be hard.
This is something Max often says, which really irks me in the moment because I'm like, I get mad. But he often says, don't wish for things to be easier, wish to be stronger.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's powerful and I like it, but I'm so fucking mad at you right now. Like, I just want things to be easier. Like,
Right.
but
Right. If I didn't hate your face so much, that would have really
yeah,
made
it's just the face. No, he's got the cutest face in the world. But like, I get so mad when he says it, but I agree with it. And I think it's exactly what you just said. Like, and he says too, like, hard times create strong people create easy times create weak people. It's like this weird cyclical thing. And I don't know where we are like generationally in it, but it's something about like, when times are good, like we're weak.
Yeah.
Cut this.
No, I also think about, like, I lived in California for many years, and you look at, like, if it was a spectrum of intelligence and temperature, as you go south, the population seems like it gets dumber and dumber and dumber.
Wait,
if you go north, it gets, as the temperature goes lower and lower, people get smarter and smarter and smarter.
Right.
And what I say, it's related to this, I believe, that when life is harder, and when life is more challenging, and it's not just beachy days and hanging out and surfing and whatever. And obviously there's so many different exceptions. I'm looking at it on a macro scale, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hang loose. But that makes me wonder if, as the weather gets a little bit bleaker as you go north, is it that people are more depressed? And do we read that as like more intelligent somehow?
I mean, this is like so offensive to so many millions of people around. But like all the
All
South
your California
and then into
fans.
Florida. I mean,
Oh.
come on. There's some truth there, right, guys? Anybody? Amanda's gonna be like,
Danger.
"This the fuck out."
Sweeping
I
generalizations.
feel like if you were offensive to enough people, then it's not quite as offensive.
It's not quite.
You
So
know, if you-
let's go for someone else next.
Exactly. I'm like targeting a small enough marginalized group. That's when it becomes more offensive. But if I'm
That's
like saying 75% of us are dickheads.
Yeah, it's like he
That's
could
true.
be talking about me. Yeah. What was the thing you said before? Doing the hard thing will
Yeah.
make things easy. What is it?
Do what's easy and things will be hard. Do what's hard and things will be easy.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And also from an earlier podcast with my dear friend Betsy Capes, she quoted Mark Twain, which was, eat the frog. If you have a list of things to do during your day,
Yeah.
and one of them is to eat a frog, you eat the frog first.
That's Mark Twain?
Because nothing in the rest of your day will feel like a challenge after that. It's about procrastination.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so she quoted Mark Twain. You're quoting people. Should I be quoting someone?
It would
I quoted
be
Max.
a lot smarter and better if you just
If I lived in Northern California.
If you lived in Northern California and spoke in only quotes for the
Only
rest of the
quotes.
podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
You just have to, like, literally like a quilt, like a verbal quilt. You have to sew one quote after the next.
Wow. I can do that if you don't mind, like taking a brief pause and then coming back.
Of course. We'll give you a cool 30.
A cool 30. Thank you. But yeah, it's like I resent that thought, but I know that it's true. I wish things could just be easy sometimes. I think especially in this early season of parenting, I'm like, it would just be nice if Blossom would sleep through the night. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
But she will maybe at some point. And maybe she won't.
Yeah. I think that the other thing that parents have said to me And it's very easy for me to remind myself to remember this, even though, of course, I don't as much as I'd like to, especially now that I've gotten through the first really difficult stage where I didn't feel like I was getting a lot of reciprocity. That stop only focusing on how difficult early parenthood is, because by the time they're 10 or 12, you're not the center of their world anymore, and they're not actually as cute. And you will
Ugh,
look back on this time
I
from
know.
pretty much, I'd say, like 8 months to 10 years, where it's the most magical, formative part of their life, where every day is special and unique, and they care so much about you.
Yeah.
And it's a really beautiful, I know,
No,
simple thing, but to just lap it up, to
I
soak it up.
I
I just,
know.
you
I
know?
know. I think it does help when I'm able to zoom out a little bit and know that I will one day look back on these days and miss them so much. And I'm thinking this about Blossom because she's our second kid and she's getting a
Yeah,
much different experience of babyhood than Olive got.
of course.
And but I don't want to rush her through her baby months because I'm like, get sleeping, girl.
No,
Get,
it's not
get.
fair.
It's not
Right.
fair. So that is helpful to hear. And I think, did you happen to hear that clip of Bob Odenkirk on Mike Birbiglia's podcast? Do you know what I'm
I
talking about?
I do, and I did. I saw it
Yeah.
about a month ago, and it
Yeah.
was crying. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No,
it's
it's
like
just,
we really have to remember how, if nothing else, why else do we go through all this
I
fucking
know. I
if we're
know.
not gonna give this gift to ourselves?
Well, I think it's just also so hard in these early days, and every parent validates this who has older kids. Like, oh, you're in the weeds right now. You are in the weeds. I think it feels like they're gonna be babies forever. It's hard to see that they're gonna be 5 and 6 and 7. Because right now it's just like, I have babies. That's all I have. Like,
The that famous expression, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do another quote, that
right.
the days are long, but the years are short.
That's what I have a mug that says that right now.
Oh my god, does that mean we have to end the podcast? There's like such
Maybe.
perfect
Maybe.
symmetry to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I I don't forget. I have him for the entire morning. I wake up that kid every single morning, and it is the most precious ritual of my entire lifetime. And I have him, and I put him down for his first nap, and it's daddy time at the beginning of every day. And I have so much magic, and yet I still could do an even better job of not looking at my phone as much as I do. And like, I love Connections so much. Have you played New York Times Connections?
No. Wait, what? What is it? I don't know what that is.
It's just taking over the
I
universe.
thought
It's
you were
just,
just saying, like, I love Connection. Like,
I know,
of
ironically, it's doing the exact opposite of that as it relates
course
to
it is.
Asher, because it makes me go into my phone to play this
Yeah.
game called, I poetically and ironically, Connections.
Yeah. Mhm.
Meanwhile, he's like, yo, dad, hello.
I'm a
Like,
baby here. Look how cute. I know. Yeah. It's the problem with these things. It's really the phones don't mesh well with parenting, I will say that.
no.
Yeah,
Other
struggle for
than
sure.
capturing and
Capturing
cataloging
music.
every fucking moment of their life.
I know, I know.
Even that is fucked up, because then you shove that in their face. I've learned how to do it right, and I hate saying it. I think he's already becoming really comfortable with
They
it, and
they
he
are. They
likes it,
do.
especially if I do it in the selfie one where I'm there.
Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
to me, I don't know, is that problematic? Maybe, but it's also like looking in a mirror with them. It's just a
Well,
little
funny you should
portable.
say that, because the video that we're like falling over right now is him literally making out with himself in the mirror. That I'm gonna send you.
Oh, please
And it
do.
is
Please
and
do.
it is like French kissing. It
He's
is like
really getting in there.
gnarly. Oh yeah. Tongue, and like I was like, how did you learn this already?
We're born with the knowledge, baby. I mean, that's really, yeah. I look forward to seeing that video.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
So I typically like to wrap the podcast
Mhm.
with asking my guests, what is your better pill?
What do people say?
I will send you 10 different scripts of what they say. You just pick out which, because I know you like the scripts. You don't like
I
improv.
love a
So
script, I please. But, like, what is my better pill?
let me clarify.
Okay.
If you could distill in a quote, no, if you could distill what you live by, or if there is a battle cry or motto, a nugget that you have learned on your journey, or right now, what you've been thinking about a lot of what helps get you through?
Oh my God. Can I answer with two different things?
No, you may not.
Yeah, I was this close. I once got a fortune in a fortune cookie that said, "Life is not a struggle, it's a wiggle." And my friends were like, "What the fuck does that mean?" I was like, "I love this more than anything."
Me too.
And I commissioned an artist that I follow on Instagram to make this like big, he does these really cute drawings. And I wrote him and I was like, "I have this quote. Could you interpret it and create some art?" And I paid him to do it. And so now we have this huge poster that says, "Life is not a struggle, it's a wiggle." And he did this really cute illustration.
Wow.
Because it just, when I think about it, it like tickles me. And it also is a good kind of reminder.
It's not a wiggle, it's a tickle.
It's not, oh, there we go. And then it's not a tickle, it's a pickle.
And the green grass grows all around, and the green grass grows all around.
It just is so funny to me that got put on a fortune cookie, and I feel so lucky that I was the recipient of it.
You were the only one.
The only one!
There's an old Simpsons where he's about to cheat on Marge. Homer's about to cheat on Marge, and you will betray your wife tonight on the fortune cookie. And then they pan down to underneath the restaurant, and it's like, oh my God, we ran out of that barrel of those. And he's like, oh, go with the stick with your wife barrel this time.
That's really stupid. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I should look for other people out there who got that same one because I just love it. But so that's a little fun one to hold on to. But then also just something that it's so obvious and sounds so dumb to say, but like, this too shall pass, especially in parenthood. It's like, this moment with this baby will pass, this not sleeping, this crying. And then, of course, for yourself too, for better or for worse, the phase that your child is in will pass. It's like you're saying, when they're 10, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. Just trying to remember that for myself when I'm having like these really intense emotional waves. Like, they are waves. I'm not going to be in this state for the rest of my life. So as obvious as that is,
No, I mean, it's also very wise. I think what we've learned here is I think it's both really important to zoom in, like to soak up those moments and be present with our kids to this precious part of their life, and to zoom out, which is what you're talking about now, which is to see how this too shall pass, how it all adds to this entire journey that is your life. It really is profound. It wasn't until I was like in my mid to late 30s that I started thinking of myself as a relatively young man. I was just in it until I was that age, thinking I'm the oldest I've ever been. When I was 30, I'm 30. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm 30 already. I'm not a young guy anymore. I'm just old. And then somewhere along the way, I was able to zoom out and look at my entire life, God willing, and no accident happens or cancer. And then I thought, let's say I live to 80 or 90, I'm only 35.
Yeah. It's like saying this too shall pass is like an active investing in, there are going to be so many more years, adventures. And it automatically just like opens things up a little bit and lets them breathe, and trying to just apply the generosity and kindness we bestow on our kids to ourselves. So I find with Olive, with a toddler, like I'm really figuring out how to like affirm what she's going through and nurture her in that, and also set limits around it.
And also deny everything else.
Deny. But I mean, to try to do that for myself rather than just like berating myself at every turn, to be like, oh, you're feeling this thing. That's really hard. And we're not going to spend too much time dwelling on it because this creates more anxiety for you, or whatever the thing is.
Totally.
Yeah.
This was worth waiting for. Okay, I'm so glad we waited.
Oh, gross. No. Yeah, I'm sorry it took so long.
No, again, it's a great reflection of what we're talking about. All of the work and the sacrifice gives way to great reward. And we're going to take our exit now, and I'm going to say my name, you're going to say your name, then I'm going to say the first half of the podcast name, and you're going to say the second.
Okay.
You can say it however you want.
Like in an accent?
With an accent, and maybe like even also singing, since you're musical.
I'm not going to sing it.
Why?
No, I can't. No,
Broadway actress.
Yeah, well, But I'm not playing a part
I'm
now.
not doing it anymore. I deliberately
No.
chose not to do that anymore.
I was a Broadway actress.
And with that, I'm David Neiman.
I'm Emily Walton.
And this has been A Better Pill
to Swallow.
That'll do, donkey.